Hello, hello. I'm in my kids' room, so sorry if it's a little messy. Sorry, my wife kicked me out. It was everyone today. Hold on, I gotta finish one quick thing. Hey, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it's a quiet day. I don't know. We'll find out. We will find out. I'm just waiting for a few people to come in. Sorry, I'm trying to finish something. Five people. Woohoo! I even scheduled last week. What do you guys think about Zoran Mamdani? I wanted to ask a question. This glare is awful. Hold on. I don't know. That's a little better. I don't know why it's doing that. That is horrible. Hold on. Sorry, this is my kids' room. I usually don't do videos in here, so this is all new to me. Well, that's going to have to do because that light was too bright. Hello, Miguel. So this is my problem I have with Zoran. Okay. I think he's a nice guy. I like his policies. This is my issue with politicians in general. He sat in the Oval Office with a rapist, with a felon, which is most likely a pedophile, who led to the death of 5 officers. Why? What's the purpose of Zoran doing that? Thank you, Dialogue. To play politics? Shame on him. No, Zoran is really good at being Darth Vader, right? He doesn't have high highs and he doesn't have low lows. He's going to smile and act like he's just a regular guy. Let me do this. This is so bright. I'm sorry, guys. I'm in a different room. Well, maybe that'll be better. Yeah, it's not bad. It's still bright. I feel like I'm Jesus over here. Ah, so bright. Well, let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Well, I don't think no matter what I do, it's going to be awesome. But that is what it is. Well, but here's the thing, Rax. Okay, now I want you. Now this is the question I ask: if Zoran's mother was E. Jean Carroll, would he sit there with him? If his father was Officer Sitnick, who died after January 6th, would he sit with him? If he had a 13-year-old daughter and Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein raped her, would he sit with him? Of course not. That's my problem with politicians. That's why I'm pissed off. Because we're normalizing this. And it's bullshit. It is. He had no choice. He has a choice. He could tell Trump to screw off. AOC refused to go to the inauguration. Why? Because I don't sit with rapists. Mondavi could have done the same thing, but he chose politics. This is why women don't come forward, because they don't believe them. Because we normalize this. And every time that we don't say something, then we normalize it. Did Obama sit with Trump? I'm sure he did at some point. That was, and they all same for them. I hold them to the same bar. At the time, I don't know if they knew about the thing with E. Jean Carroll. I don't know the answer to that, but I would call him out too. We as a society have normalized what this guy has done. He's a convicted felon. He's a rapist. He's probably a pedophile. He caused an insurrection. And people are worried about the price of eggs. More than decency, more than morality, more than integrity, more than honesty. That's my problem with the system. And people in this country that just couldn't vote for a black woman. I want cheap eggs. I want cheap gas. Now I'm mad. You weren't mad about everything else that happened. You were only mad when something bad happened to you. Darkest, I agree. I don't even see this as, I'm an independent. I don't see this as a Republican or Democratic issue. It's about decency. AOC stood on business, 10 toes down. I'm not going to an inauguration for a rapist. She stood on business. And Zoran, hi. Oh, is it okay, Daddy? Would you mind? Is it okay if I call you a fascist? Oh, it's okay. Yes, I called you a jihadist. I called you a communist. I said I'm going to deport you. I'm going to take away your leadership. But please, come and kiss my ass. I have something that I always live by. I don't say anything on here, on an email, on a text, on Facebook that I wouldn't say to the person in person. That's what he should have done. He could have. And you're exactly right, Brandon. He should have stood on business and metaphorically, punched the bully in his face. I like his policies. But don't be a punk. Don't play politics. I'm going to die on that hill. I'm going to fight for women, period. You are a shitty person if you are more worried about the price of an egg than women that are survivors of assault. You just are. And if you're not going to say anything, I don't see you as any different than the 3 officers that stood by while George Floyd was murdered. You know it's wrong, but you're not doing it because it's not politically beneficial. And that is crap. And I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to move on. When I have conversations with MAGA, I hear the same thing. Oh, we're not going to talk about January 6th. You're damn right we are, because officers are dead. Well, that's too bad. It's too bad. It's too bad that their children are never going to see their dad grow up. This isn't like the Niners lost the Super Bowl or the Warriors lost a basketball game. That's too bad. Oh, I lost my keys. That's a shame. They're dead. You could be right, Brandon. You could be right. I understand what he's trying to do, but you guys tell me if I'm wrong here. I want people that are pissed off and angry. I want people like that oyster farmer in Maine. I want people that are going to break the establishment. And Cory Booker was an example of this. He gave a 26-hour speech and then he voted for a convicted felon. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to move off of. If you're fine voting for a man who's a rapist, you're a shitty person. Period. Hard stop. End of story. I will take expensive eggs. I will take expensive gas. Shit happens. That will go up. That will go down. What I won't accept is bad morality. I'm just not. I won't accept it. I don't like it at all. I think it's crap. That we're all playing games like he's some kind of normal president. Let's find common ground. It's disgusting. I have an aunt that was a victim that was crying on the phone when he won. For all these fake ass Christians out there, praise Jesus, praise Jesus. They're so pro-life. Did they care about the lives of Amber Thurman or Audriana Smith or E. Jean Carroll or the 25 women or the girls at Epstein Island or the dead officers? They sure didn't care about any of those lives. They're not pro-life. They're pro-white man. Yeah, he's a younger version of Chuck Schumer, in my opinion. He's more of a socialist, and his policies are good. He wants to put caps on housing so people aren't like living paycheck to paycheck and being in poverty from rent. He wants to make grocery stores more affordable. He wants to use taxpayers' money so you don't have to pay extra for buses. He wants to give, I think it's bassinets to newborns to help them out. Those are great policies. I think they're great. Now, is he going to do them all? I don't know. But he sure talked a big talk. He's going to have to back it up now. W ends, but how can I trust him to keep what they did? Yeah, I don't know, Brandon. I there's too many people that are going to move off of the morality, and I'm not. I liked John McCain. I liked Obama. I voted for both of them. I thought they were decent people. I didn't agree with everything they said, but they were decent, respectable people. And I can work with bad policy. Policies will go up, policies will go down. Inflation goes up, inflation goes down. Unemployment goes up, unemployment goes down. But my problem has always been for these people that cosplay as Christians and that talk about all these wonderful things about God, 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 and you're supposed to build your wealth in heaven. This is what they believe, where moth and rust can't get to them. Morality, decency, kindness, empathy. They hoard themselves out for cheap eggs. That's my problem. That they valued that which is in the world than everything else that they pretend to believe. That's my problem with these fake Christians. And now you have Republicans that are going to retire early. Why? Oh, we don't want to be used as a potted plant to vote with Trump. Then don't. Have some balls. Have a backbone. Tell them, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to impeach you. See, that's the problem. They were fine with officers being beaten on January 6th. They were fine with his son making fun of Paul Pelosi about underwear and a hammer. They were fine about threats and death threats to Democrats. They're fine with him blowing up boats with no due process in the international waters. He's fine with U.S. citizens being, but somehow Republicans want to run away like a bunch of damn cowards. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a hero either. She's a coward. She sat by and talked and demonized David Hogg. David Hogg, who lost 14 of his classmates in Parkland, demonizing him, harassing him in public. She talked about stop the steal, stop the steal. She voted for a rapist and a felon. She is not a goddamn hero. She's a coward. And now that she got a fraction of an inch of the bullshit that she's been pushing with Trump, now she's going to run away. She's a coward. That's what she is. She's America last. She's white woman first. That's it. And again, go back to The View. You expect more from Mike Pence is a coward. He's a coward. He's a white nationalist. That's all Mike Pence is. Mike Pence hasn't said a damn thing during his entire administration. Mike Pence didn't say anything when he was running with the rapist and a pedophile and a felon who made fun of women, grab him by the PUSSY. Mike Pence is a coward too. He thinks at some point he's going to have the ability to run for office somewhere. He's a wet noodle. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said that we're not sure if the plane actually crashed into the Pentagon. We don't know that for sure. She was a 9/11 Holocaust denier. Jewish space lasers. She's a nut. But because she finally stood up, in November? And now she's going to retire? So she went all these years supporting this morally bankrupt piece of garbage. But now that he was mean to her, she's going to run away after 6 weeks? Does that sound like a patriot or a coward? She's a coward. She's leaving 2 days after she gets her retirement, her pension. She's a coward. Well, she's going to run for something, and her white supremacist base will probably vote her in somewhere. She'll run for mayor of Whiteville, USA, or MAGAville, or Make America White Again, or Patriot Nation, or some crap like that, some white nationalist movement. Everything, she's a grifter. She is. She's a grifter. And then we have the plan for Marco Rubio. I haven't heard a lot about that. But this is his plan. First, Orange Piggy, which is what I'm going to call him every day until the Lord takes him home, said, I'm going to end the Ukraine war on the first day. In fact, not even the first day. I'm so smart, I'm going to end it before I take office. We're in almost December. And his plan is to take Putin's plan and to promote it. Here's my plan. Ukraine, just give up some land. Just give him what he wanted. I'm so smart. Think about how stupid his people are, that they think he's a genius. So think about this. Somebody's going to break into your house, okay? At gunpoint. The police comes. Well, we need to find common ground here, okay? Why don't you just give them part of your backyard? It's my house. Well, I really want to solve this conflict. Wait, they broke into my house illegally, and they murdered part of my family. Well, I want to end this conflict. There's no conflict. Just arrest them. No. We got to find common ground. Just give them part of your garage or your backyard. That's how stupid his people are. That's how dumb they are. It's stupid. They're just dumb. That's called giving up. And then you have his tariff plan, right? Because again, his people are stupid. In his first administration, he put his name on it. He cares about me. It was approved by Congress. And he held up his tariff plan, his stimulus check. So he could put his name on it because people are so stupid, they don't realize he's not even the one that passed the bill. And now, you and I are going to the store. It's not a tax, right? So we're paying more for groceries, for goods, radios, headphones, phones, protein shakes, whatever it is, okay? We're paying more. And the government is holding it somewhere in some mystical whatever the hell it is. And now he's taking that money that we paid into it and saying, well, I'm going to give you a stimulus check because I'm America first. That's called a refund, dumbass. It's not a stimulus. You're the one that took the money. You're just giving back what we had. It's called a freaking refund. But his base is so stupid that they're going to think that he's doing something great. Has anybody seen those $5,000 Doge checks? Anybody? I haven't. And now we're not going to get this $2,000 refund. Now, Scott Besson said, well, it may not be in the form of cash. It may not be. Well, maybe it'll be a tax refund. That's not a refund. That's not a stimulus check. That's a tax break. So his plan goes from, I'm going to refund the money that you paid into it because you paid more for goods, which has destroyed the economy, to, well, you may get it. It might be next year. It may not be next year. It might be a tax break. You might get a refund, but probably not. But if you fit into this very, very small market, right before the midterms, I'll send a check out because you are so dumb, you'll believe it. Okay, let's talk about Eric Swalwell, since Brandon brought this up. So, I do not believe that Eric Swalwell can run for both Congress and governor at the same time. You cannot win both seats. Katie Porter went through this when she ran for the Senate. She had to withdraw from her congressional seat. So his seat will be open, and the only other person I saw on the ballot was some lawyer from I don't know where. I don't know. I put out a video earlier today with my platform, and I'll go over it if you haven't seen it yet. Now, this is a platform. This does not mean that I'm going to obviously do everything, but this is what I would run for. Hold on. These are not in order. Hi, sign. Adoption. Make it easier. It takes $10,000 to $20,000 a year to adopt a child. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't put people into debt to adopt a kid that needs a home. Make it easier. Make it cheaper. Let's put vocational back in high school. You want to be a carpenter? You want to be a mechanic? Let's find a way with the Department of Education to somehow fund these programs. Obviously, we got to pay teachers more money with local taxes. Let's do that so they can go from high school right into the workforce. Healthcare for all. There is a minimum tax for the wealthy, whether that's a fixed number or a dollar amount. Unrealized capital gains tax. Peter Thiel put in $1,000 a couple years ago. Now it's worth like $1 billion or something like that, some stupid amount. But because he's transferred it again and again and again, all those capital gains are completely untaxed. That's ridiculous. For rich people, over a certain amount, not for everybody, not for the middle class people, not for people that make under, let's just pick a number. Let's say under $300,000 a year, okay? Regular everyday people. I know that's a lot, but in California and New York and Florida, money's a little different. So you find whatever that number is. They won't have to. It's going to be for the people that are millionaires and billionaires. If you're going to move your assets, you're going to pay tax on unrealized capital gains. That is, let's say you put in $1 million and you move it to another stock and it's now worth $10 million. You pay tax on $9 million. And at the end, whatever's left over, you can take it when you're old and gray. Tax the hell out of them. Because right now, they bounce it around all over the place so they can hide from paying taxes. I think there is, the last estimate I saw was about $4 trillion in assets that have never been taxed. That could bring in $500 billion in revenue. That would cover SNAP benefits, universal health care. No more dark money politics. I'm talking APAC, corporations. You have to reverse Citizens United. Paul, would I want Canadian citizens traveling to the U.S.? I would say right now, no. I hope at some point. I was pulling for the Blue Jays because I wanted Canada to win. Not because I cared about the Blue Jays, because I care about our neighbors up north. You guys have fought with us, bled with us, and we have shit all over your country. And I am ashamed that we have treated our neighbors so badly. And I believe that most Canadians know that most Americans don't want Canadian to be treated this way. It sucks. Gun reform. You ban semi-automatic weapons, gun storage. If you're going to have a gun, you have to store it up safely. If you don't, and it's used in a crime, you get thrown in jail for a minimum of 10 years, a felony. With great power comes great responsibility. Training. 2-hour training. Background check. Nothing in there is an infringement. Jon Stewart said something that stuck with me. Inconvenience is not infringement, right? Shall not be infringed. Well regulated. They never want to talk about that. And the Democrats have done a crappy job about pushing back. A crappy job. Well regulated. Student loans. Now, what I'm going to do with these, every Monday, I'm going to put out a long form video on Monday. It's going to be my Monday video. I'm going to pick one of these topics and I'm going to act as if I was running for office because I might. And I'm going to say why each of these are necessary and how they're going to benefit people. Because I don't give a crap about shall not be infringed. They can shove it up their ass. I'm sick of people dying from gun violence. And they focus on transgenders and tampons in boys' bathrooms. They're a bunch of damn idiots. It's white grievance. And the Democrats do a crappy job about pushing back. Student loans. So right now, we got people in loans for 20 years. And yes, they agreed to it. They signed up for it. They should have some accountability. But at the same time, their income, their salary is not, the ROI is not there. So they have all this money into education, but they're working at Chili's or a waiter or a waitress. So what I would say is draw a line, say today, and if you have a loan, you are responsible for the principal alone so we can get you out of debt. Going forward, put 2% on there. Make it minimal. Have it where you're paying a small percentage, but you're not going in debt. These programs are tax funded. We should not be making profit off of it. The government is not a for-profit business. It is here to help the people. And we have to get back to that. People should not be in loans, but they should also be responsible for their college. Convicted felons cannot run for president or any elected office under any circumstance. Border reform, actual border reform. Both political parties have used it as a talking point. Both of them have. And neither one has fixed it. Just like they ran on abortion. And the Democrats crapped the bed, didn't they? Yep, they sure did. Judges, make it faster. Let's look at asylum. Most people are coming here because they want a better life. 98% of gun violence are men. The vast majority are white men, U.S. citizens. George Floyd, a white man. Ahmaud Arbery, a white man. January 6th, white men. Look at all the churches in the Catholic Church that have molested little boys. White men, U.S. citizens. The Baptist Church, white men. The vast majority of crimes are U.S. citizens, white men, not brown people. It's BS. They're the problem. Abolish the Electoral College. That is a relic of, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, of the Jim Crow era. You should not be able to win the presidency by losing the popular vote. People in red and blue states don't even vote because they don't think their vote counts. Every politician should earn every vote of every person in this country. With that said, DC, and I would argue Puerto Rico, should be a state. Why not? Taxation without representation, right? Puerto Rico has over 3 million people that live there. Why don't they have congressmen and senators? There's 500,000 in Wyoming, a couple 100,000 in North and South Dakota. Why in the hell should Puerto Rico not have senators and congressmen? I believe Puerto Rico pays, I think they pay, they pay one of the taxes. Hold on. They do pay federal taxes. Yes, I knew they paid one of them. Somebody asked about the American Samoa and Guam. That's a great question. Now, here's the thing. When you look at Puerto Rico and those islands, Puerto Rico is over 3 million. I believe with all the islands, Guam, American Samoa, because they actually go to the DNC. I think it's about 3.3 to 3.4 million. They only have a couple 100,000. I don't know how that would work. I don't have an opinion about that because I don't know. I'm actually not sure if they're U.S. citizens. I got to be honest with you. I don't know the answer to that. Now, all I can tell you is on here what I research, and I will have to research it more because every Monday I'm going to make a video about this. Would I accept Alberta as an IS? Oh, yeah, I don't think Canada wants to mess with us right now. But if Puerto Rico is, make them pay federal taxes and make them pay state taxes. They're U.S. citizens. Why shouldn't they be part of the process? I got no problem with that. Insider training should be banned. Would I accept a U.S. state? Which one? I think your first message got deleted somehow, Derek. I didn't do it. I don't know why. It doesn't tell me why. It just says message retracted. I don't see it. George Floyd Avoiding Act. Why is it that we want to pass a bill to remember a white racist podcaster who joked about unaliving Joe Biden? Somehow he gets honored because he's a piece of garbage. But George Floyd, we can't even pass a voting act or a police reform act. Really? Oh, I'm sure it has nothing to do because he's black. Pass it. It needs to be passed. Veterans health care is at the top of the list. We ask people to serve this country honorably. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's a dinosaur. Screw her. I don't care about her. Go away. The fact that we just crap on veterans and we don't take care of them, it's disgusting. It's morally repugnant, in my opinion. It just really is. Drug companies. We have got to reform this capitalistic, greedy system. And I would like to, at some point, interview Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban has a drug company. I think it's called, somebody correct me, Drugs Cost Plus or something like that. He puts down their cost. They put on a 15% margin. They put their shipping and handling and their employee fee, which is like $5. They're very transparent, and they show you the price of most corporations and what they charge. That's what we need to get to. And I'm not against, and maybe this is controversial, but I don't care, because I want people to afford healthcare. We have a handful of rich corporations, healthcare companies, a handful that run everything. They can charge whatever they want. They can all get together and charge $500 for insulin. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. I would not be against the government. And I know this is against capitalism, but I don't care. There has to be some way where we can maybe through an independent person or through the government starting healthcare where they're going to make those kind of goods for citizens. There has to be a form of competitive pricing. Because if we're not going to regulate them, which we're not, because I don't see how you regulate a business. When you got 4 people that have all the market, you can't tell them what to charge. It's a capitalistic system. Who's the white podcaster? That would be CK. The man that wanted to fight for the male patriarchy, the guy that told young men to vote for a rapist and a convicted felon and an insurrectionist who cheats on his wife. You know, that great Christian. You know, the guy that was a victim of school violence that said dead Americans was worth the cost of a Second Amendment. That great pro-life Christian. Citizens United. That has got to be reversed. No, Pish, I'm with you. I just don't have empathy for him because he was a shitty human being. He demonized black people. He said they weren't qualified. He joked about gay people being thrown out of buildings. I just don't have empathy for him. And I think that was my problem with the people on the right. We have 43,000 people die from gun violence. Thoughts and prayers for George Floyd. Thoughts and prayers for Mount Aubrey. Thoughts and prayers for January 6th. Thoughts and prayers for Sandy Hook, Uvalde, the Catholic Church. Thoughts and prayers. But a racist podcaster who joked about gay people being thrown out of buildings in Gaza. These people are going to Starbucks to be the white victim and crying and wanting to start a revolution, and Jesus is coming and Bibles are flowing and people are getting baptized because one white racist podcaster was the victim of a school shooting. I just don't have empathy. If he would have cared about everybody else, I might have empathy, but he didn't. He cared about the white male patriarchy. That's it. I don't want that to happen to anybody. But if he would have used his platform for gun reform and actually for good, instead of for being a damn grifter, a capitalistic whore, because that's what he was. He was a grifter. Him and Jillian Michaels and what's her name? Riley Gaines. They just grift to the fringes of the white base. Ben Shapiro, they're all the same. They're grifters for fake emotional outrage. Transgenders, tampons. But they think because we didn't have empathy that somehow that means you're rejoicing it. I didn't see one person that was happy. Not one. They just said thoughts and prayers. But they put them on Air Force Two. The VP came down. They had a day of remembrance. They had a 1930s style Nazi kind of rally. You thought they were going to start a civil war. Jesus is coming back because of one person. When over the last 5 years, we've lost 250,000 people to gun violence. But hey, there's nothing we can do except thoughts and prayers. But if you don't shed a tear for the racist podcaster, you're going to burn in hell. That's ridiculous. That's my problem with their outrage. Does that make sense, Pish? I just don't sell it. I think because they wanted empathy. Yeah. Yes, a national police database. It needs to happen. And you have to take away qualified immunity. Police officers, I always listen to Ben Parker, which was Peter Parker's uncle. With great power comes great responsibility. If you have a stun gun, a gun, mace, handcuffs, a car with a shotgun, many officers, you can lock somebody up, hold them against their will, go into their house, arrest them without cause. You should be held to a higher standard. Period. You do something stupid, you're responsible. Sue the hell out of them. If I go and do something at my job, I'm accountable. Why shouldn't they? Hi, Iron Man Mino. And we have put police officers as if they're some kind of gods. We just have. How many officers back the president that's a convicted felon? Back the blue my ass. Back the white man. Yeah, and many officers, and I can't prove this, that are ICE agents right now, they're just angry, upset, young, insecure, beta alpha males that have the emotional maturity of a seventh grader that want to demonize and they're racists. Let's just be real. Look at how they treat people. They're angry. They're just begging to shoot somebody with a pepper ball or spray paint somebody or pepper spray somebody or hit them with a baton or knock them over. They love it. How many ICE agents are women? Almost none. Why? Because they're not stupid. 98% of gun violence are men, not women. January 6th, almost all men. George Floyd, men. Almost every gun violence in this country is a man. 70% of domestic assault for police officers, men. But yeah, somehow women are just too emotional. Catholic Church, who molested little boys? Men. Baptist Church, who sexually assaulted a woman and covered it up? Men. Jim Crow, slavery, Trail of Tears, men, men, men. But women are too emotional. Yeah, kiss my ass. That's such crap. There is a problem with young men in this country that they think that empathy is some kind of a weakness. And it's really, really sad. Yeah, there's because and EK says something right. There is a sickness in this country with a lot of young men that have been raised in this country of patriotism, of nationalism, of worshiping. We worship a symbol. You got to have guns and you got to hunt bear with your bare hands and you got to own the libs and you got to win, 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 Billy. Win at football, win at baseball. And what do? We take people like the quarterback of the Browns, whatever his name was. And how many athletes have mistreated women? But you're a good athlete. You can catch a ball. You can run fast. You can quarterback. So nothing to see here. I don't see anything. We do this all the time and it's disgusting. We did the same thing with the presidency. Matt Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old. Wormbrains had so many affairs his first wife took his own life. Pete Hegseth is an alcoholic who paid $50,000 because he assaulted a woman. Nothing to see here. Hey, they're real men. We've normalized it. That's why I don't like what Zoran Mamdani did. He normalized it. Rappers do the same thing. I don't even like Bill Clinton. That dude cheated on his wife as president. Was it illegal? Maybe not. But it was hella wrong. You're supposed to be the moral standard for the country, for young men. And when a president can't even keep his own wedding vows, when he lies to the public, when he cheats on his wife, I still think the Democratic Party should have asked him to step down. Because you normalize it when you don't have consequences for that kind of actions. I'm not moving off that hill. I'm not moving off of E. Jean Carroll or the 25 women. I've read the reports. Every of the 25 women that he assaulted has a date, exactly what they did. They didn't just roll out of bed and say, yeah, I want to make up a fake allegation against a billionaire. It's disgusting. Believe the women. 26 women just lied? Come on, man. That's crap. I don't have 26 allegations. Does anybody here have 26 allegations? Does Bill Gates have 26 allegations? Does Eminem have 26 allegations? No, he does. Because he has a history of it. It's who he is. Defenders, they can incite violence on the premise that they are the victim, also known as dynamic inversion of attribution of blame, aka. Yeah, and that was the reason that so many people got upset about the racist podcaster, because they thought that the stuff he was saying would affect others. Black people, brown people, Latinos, immigrants, Muslims, Asians, minorities. They thought that his rhetoric would affect somebody else. And what happened was that their white privilege got shit on. And they lost their minds. They didn't know what to do. They simply didn't know what to do. And when their privilege got, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? They lost their minds. They thought that their privilege would keep them safe, and it finally came to their front doorstep. That's exactly why they freaked out. And they played the white victim. Say his name, say his name. Jesus is coming. It's a revival. So we have 250 million people that have died from gun violence. Women are dying in Texas at a 56% increased mortality rate because Roe versus Wade was overturned. 14 million kids are starving every day. 800,000 are homeless. 42 million live with food insecurities. But somehow, this one racist white guy, Jesus, is coming back. This is how stupid his people are. They're dumb because they need to be the victim. And look at what they did with Lincoln Riley. It's the victim, right? 43,000 people died last year. They picked a white girl, which was horrible. What happened to her? Because it was an undocumented brown person. And they put it on postcards and posters and passed bills. Don't you agree? Don't you want law and order? January 6th? Oh, that's in the past. It allows them to be the victim. And they did the same thing with Ashley Babbitt. She knew exactly what she was doing. That's her fault. But she needs to be the victim. This is what they do. Riley Gaines, the biggest loser. She didn't finish first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. She finished sixth. She sucked. She wasn't good. Her entire platform with 1 million followers is being the poor, helpless white girl. No, it's the transgenders. How many school shootings in this country were done by transgenders? How many people are dying from drag show ratings? How many people have died from tampons in boys' bathrooms? Maybe I forgot. None. But 5 officers died after January 6th, but you never hear her talk about that because it's a grift. That's what the Republican Party does good. They keep their people stupid. They keep them uneducated. And you keep them in a constant sense of fear. Somebody's coming after you. The transgenders. It's the libtards. They're coming after your guns. They're coming after your freedoms. And you walk around and you say a bunch of nationalism, right? It's like, you ever seen a Mad Libs where you fill in words? Go and listen to people like Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller. Every sentence has to have patriotism, God, freedom, bald eagle, and greatness. Like, I went on vacation to New York City. It's the greatest God-fearing country in the world. We had guns and freedom in New York City on my vacation. Yeehaw! I went and saw E.T. at the movie theater. It was the most patriotic, God-fearing film I've ever seen. Yeehaw! They had guns and freedom and the Second Amendment and God-given rights. Yeah. Like, that's their version of American, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's not patriotism. It's not. It's nationalism. Yes, it's Christian nationalism is like, I think you call it what, Christianity and drag queen? Christian nationalism is not Christianity. It's control. Whether you're a Christian or not, I don't care. You have the right to drink alcohol, watch porn, cheat on your wife, date your dog. It's your life. I don't know if you can date your dog legally. I wouldn't want to, but you live your life the way you want. I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. But if I tell you how to live your life, if I take away your free will, that is the antithesis of being a person of faith. That is exactly what, did God stop abortion? Did God stop the Holocaust? Did he stop Jim Crow? Did God stop slavery? Did he stop the school shootings? No, because of free will. So when you tell women they can't do what they want with their bodies, you're taking away God's free will. It's control. It's nothing more than maintaining the white male patriarchy. Well, in Darkish, Brandon, you're right. When I go on Blue Sky, you got 2 groups of people. There is a lot of people that have a Jewish religion, and you have a lot of blue MAGA that are hardcore, far leftists. They're the opposite of MAGA. They will defend their religion until their dying breath. They will argue with you until they're blue in the face, defending a piece of paper. That's religion. I religiously brush my teeth. I religiously go to the gym. I religiously eat breakfast. A religion is something you do. The Bible never says to have a rosary bead. That's religion. Never says to, oh, hey, what's up, Morgan? That's my bud. Can I ask a legit question? You can always ask. I may not answer it, but you can ask. Can I ask you a question? And I'm going to ask this in the most mature way. Uh-oh, that's not good. But it's about control. Now look at somebody like Jimmy Carter. The guy was literally like 85 years old building houses. Most people that put Bible in their names, God-fearing, quote the book of Isaiah, they don't even know he's a major prophet, but they cherry pick things. It's control. It's because their faith, there is this scripture called faith without works is dead. Faith without works is religion. Because that's what MAGA is. It's the religion of white supremacy, of white Jesus. Somebody says God will judge people who tolerate free will. Well, Mock, I would say this, and I've read the Bible and I was named after Paul. For these MAGA, for the vast majority, they're going to spend a lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein one day. They both believe in God, them and Satan, and neither one of them follow him. Love thy neighbor as thyself, forgive thy neighbor. They think he is a false God. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot live in both light and darkness. You cannot say, I love Jesus, and then cheer when he says, I hate Taylor Swift. You cannot say, forgive thy enemy, but then cheering on January 6th where officers are dead. Because this is what's going to happen. They're going to go up there on Judgment Day along with all of us. They're going to go up there with their American flags and more flags and guns and AR-15s and say, yeehaw, I'm a patriot. Jesus, let me in heaven. He's like, I don't know who you are. I got Sandy Hook and Uvalde and George Floyd and the officers from January 6th. I got women that died because you took away the right to choose. But Jesus, I took the tampons out of the bathrooms because they were going to burn in hell. And I demonized the transgenders. I said gun reform. Well, God, that's freedom. And that's the problem. They're not willing to give up any personal freedoms for what is right. Like literally they say they support Jesus, who literally gave his life for other people and said, forgive them for they know not what they do. But to ask them to do 1 ounce of anything to give up a personal luxury on this earth, a piece of metal, is a bridge too far. They're not pro-life. They're pro-gun. They're forced birth. What? I don't know what it is, honestly. Featherly, I actually read in a, I don't know, it might be like an NIV or something. Do you think people are born and created through religion or science? I don't know how to, I don't know the answer to that. I just know that white Christian nationalism is not Christianity and it is not faith. It is religion. It is the religion of the white man controlling everybody in this country. And when I hear people say that this is a Christian nation, give me a year. The Middle Passage, which I'm going to make a video about on Thursday, is going to be my history day. 1.4 million African Americans died, chained to the bottom of ships, not even allowed to get fresh air for up to 6 months. And when they died, they threw them in the ocean and bull sharks ate them. That Christian nation, when the founding fathers had slaves, when they designed this country for 21-year-old landowning white men, when black people were 3/5 of a person, that Christian nation where black people couldn't worship in a church. But see, to them, this is a Christian nation because it benefited them. And that's what this is really about. As long as their whiteness doesn't get offended, as long as their white freedoms are okay, they don't care. That's the problem. That's why I have a problem with Zoran having tea or kissing the orange piggy's ass, is because he didn't care about the women that were victims. And he should have stood on business, and he had an opportunity to, and he didn't. He played politics. Do you think people are born and created through religion or science? I don't understand that question. You mean like biologically through a woman, like giving birth? Is that what you mean? I don't understand. If you can't ask the question, then we do not believe you. I don't. I think I would have to look it up. My wife is on a call, so I can't get my, oh, hold on. I got one. Hold on. I do have one. Hold on. It's the one I got from my, hold on. Hold on a second. I got it somewhere. All right, I found it. So I've had this since I was like a wee little lad. I do the digital thing now. Let me see what it is. It's from 1990. I was like 14? No, 13. Oh my god. I don't know what this is. Oh, here we go. Oh god, this is old. There you go. This is my first Bible I got. New American Standard. So there you go. Now you have to believe me. Natural means a tool of God. But again, when people say that the Second Amendment is a God-given right, how? And this goes back to the indoctrination of the white church. Did Jesus sign the Second Amendment? Did God write the Constitution? No. Then how the hell is that a God-given right? Because people are stupid. They don't think. When you grow up in the white evangelical church, you're not allowed to question anything. Example. If God is pro-life, why did he flood the earth? I can ask that question. I believe in God. I don't have the answer. But when you ask a MAGA or a white nationalist the answer to that, they will defend you and say, oh, God works in mysterious ways. Or why did God save his little orange ear but not stop the genocide of the 7 million Jews in Germany? Well, God works in mysterious ways. Why did God save a rapist and not the school shootings in this country? Well, God works in mysterious ways. Because they don't have critical thinking. For them to criticize God is a sin, right? It's the same thing with America. You can both love America and criticize it. But that's not what you hear from people on the right. If you don't like this country, you can leave it. Well, I can love my children and criticize them. Both things can be true at the same time, right? But their brains don't work that way. Anybody that doesn't see the world from their point of view is viewed as an enemy, because they view every conversation as a sport where they have to win and you have to lose. If somebody doesn't lose, then they're not satisfied, which is why you get to this toxic masculinity, right? Guys with a six-pack eating a raw steak on a wood board, chasing polar bears butt naked because I'm a real man, playing football in a wheelchair because only real man would sit on the sidelines. It's this sick, twisted masculinity. And when you pull out empathy and compassion and kindness, this is what you get. That's why the MAGA are never happy, because even though they won the election, it's not enough. Yeah, EK, I don't even consider myself a religious person. And when you really look at it in here, nowhere, not once does it say to be religious. Not once is the word Christian. Not once is the word rosary beads in here. That is religion, and it's BS. Religion was created by white men to control people, period. That's it. That's what religion is. It's something you do. Faith is something that you live. I cannot watch The Handmaid's Tale. I saw the first episode and I can't. I was triggered by it. I have family in my life that were victims. Not true. You have the wrong Bible, bruh. I don't know what you mean by that. Sorry. Did he just turn into KRS-One? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. But The Handmaid's Tale it's intense. I've heard about it. I cannot watch it. I'm sorry. The way that they treat women in that show is I can't do it. I couldn't get through the first episode at the end. There was something with the guy and the woman, and I just can't do it. But some people, I just can't. Oh, rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live. Exactly right. Religion is something you do. Faith is something you live. I don't defend faith and I don't argue over faith. People argue over religion. Oh, Morgan, you're a better person than I am. I can't watch it. I just, the way that women are treated, I can't do it. Sorry. But here's the thing. Even if you don't believe in this, who cares? Then don't. I don't care. How about just being a good person? You know what's ironic is that some of the most nicest, compassionate, empathetic, non-judgmental people I know are atheists. Some of the worst, most judgmental, vile, bigots, racists that I know are Christians, alleged Christians, Pharisees. Isn't that rich? Because morality doesn't come from a book. Yeah, see, pass the joint right here. Be an atheist. But that doesn't. The problem is when you get into religion, somebody that is a religious person, a Christian nationalist, will say, "You need to turn to Jesus or you're going to hell." Why? Why would I say that? And if I was to ask past that question, it may not because he doesn't believe in God. Part of it could be because people that wear red hats that just judge people all the time because they're horrible human beings. People don't want to go to church because of the people that are inside of it, because they're a piss poor reflection of what they pretend to believe. It's judgment. And if you look at the MAGA white church, you would just have straight white angry men with M16s. That's their version of white Jesus. So you are saying you think teaching is not okay? I don't know what you're... Teaching is judging. There's nothing wrong with judging. By your fruits shall you be judged. Judge thy neighbor fairly. By the same measure you judge, lest you be judged. Remove the log from your own eye before you see the speck in your brother's. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. If you assault women, if you're a felon, if you cheat on your wives, you're a shitty person. By your fruits shall you be judged. If you care for people, if you're empathetic, if you fight for other people, if you stand up for the people that are marginalized, you're a good person. By your fruits shall you be judged. Yeah. The whole judgment thing is brought up by the white evangelical church so they can do anything they want and justify it. Right? Do as I say, not as I do. That is the white Christian way of life. It just is. Thou shalt not judge, but it also says, judge thy neighbor fairly. By the same measure you judge, lest you be judged. You're supposed to judge righteously. How are you going to claim that a man that's an orange pig, that insults women, that assaults women, that's a felon, that steals from children dying with charities, that molests 13-year-old girls is a Christian? By your fruits shall you be judged. Judge righteously. Where two or more come, there shall I be. We are supposed to judge. Now, if he wants to apologize and say, you know what? I should have done those things because I was named after Paul. And say, I was wrong. I'm going to turn a new leaf. But I haven't seen that. So I judge a person by their actions. Judge thy neighbor fairly. Yeah. I judge them righteously. If those people are going to throw the Bible in my face, then I'm going to throw it back at them and I'm going to judge righteously. That's what we should do. Because they're a piss poor. A lot of those people are why people don't want to go to church. They're not necessarily rejecting God. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But they're leaving the crappy people that are inside of it that don't make them feel welcome. Now, if I went to church, if the book of James, and I don't want to get too religious here, sorry. It says, if you break one commandment, you're guilty of breaking all of them. So a sin is a sin is a sin. But what the white evangelical church has done is said that abortion and gay people are the worst. So if you lie with a porn star while your wife is at home with your 2-week-old son, while you're cheating on your third marriage, somehow that's okay. But at the same time, these same Christians won't vote for Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. He's not a felon. He's not a rapist. He hasn't abused women. He's not a child molester. But somehow that's a bridge too far. By your fruits shall you be judged. I don't know what that is. Discontinue the penny. Yes, the penny is discontinued as of last week. And to be honest, I actually agree with it. Because I've been to the Denver Mint. So you may not know this. The The US government doesn't actually make its own money. These mints are actually a separate company from, because I collect coins. I have silver dollars and 3-cent pieces and 2-cent pieces and half-cent pieces. I got, one day, if you guys ever want to see my coin collection, it's kind of crazy, the currency we used to have. We lose money on pennies, nickels, and dimes. True story. We actually lose money by making them. We make money on, what is it, dimes? Pennies and nickels. I think we make money on dimes and quarters. So at some point, we should probably stop making nickels because we actually turn a loss. Do I think Jeffries is a good person? I do. He just doesn't have a backbone. I think he's a good person. I think he just plays politics. If he would put the American people first, just like Eric Swalwell, I would respect him more. I don't respect Swalwell anymore. I think he's a nice guy. Hey, Jackson. This is why I don't like Swalwell. When I asked him to join a general strike, he said, only if it helps the Democrats win. Screw you. I don't care if you win. I want to fight for the people. When the racist podcaster on October 14th had a day of remembrance, he didn't even have the balls to show up and vote. And I called his office and asked why he didn't vote, and they never got back to me. He told me in our interview, and I could repost it, it was from a couple months ago. He said, when we had the majority under Biden, we should have increased minimum wage, we should have reversed Citizens United, and we should have stacked the Supreme Court. We tried to be more moderate. So once again, the Democrats played politics, just like under Obama. And I loved Obama. He's one of my favorite presidents. Eloquent speaker. Michelle is incredible. One of the best speakers I've ever heard. But they didn't codify Roe versus Wade. So even though the orange piggy overturned it through his justices, the Democrats are partly responsible because they screwed around and played politics. They didn't do it because they wanted to run on it. We're fighting for women. We're fighting for women. No, you didn't. You're using it as a political bargaining chip. And now the dog caught up to the car. And you screwed around and you found out. It's the lack of backbone that I don't like with the Democrats. All 50 voted for Rubio. Al Green, who's the only guy that had the balls to stand up, 10 censured him. You had Cory Booker, who voted for a felon, Charles Kushner, who was giving money to him. They're all taking money from AIPAC. 134 of them decided not to impeach because it wasn't politically beneficial. And when Mike Johnson shut down the government for 6 weeks, like 2 months ago, why didn't the Democrats go to D.C. and protest? Why didn't they sleep on the halls of Congress? Why didn't they go to D.C. and show that there's no crime, that they're just picking up mulch, the National Guard? That's what I would have done. I would have told every member of Congress, you better get your asses here within 48 hours or I'm going to censure you and then I'm going to primary you. I don't care if you have to walk backwards. You get your asses here. That's what the Democrats should be doing. They voted for the CR before and they voted for it again. They have no backbone. They just don't. The Republicans run all three branches of the government, and the Democrats are bailing out the Republicans. That government should be shut down right now. It should be. Well, Chris, you're right. By the same measure you judge, lest you be judged. I'm not a felon. I don't abuse women. I'm not judging anybody here in the comments. What I'm judging are the people that walk around with gold crosses and that beat people over the head, demonize immigrants, demonize trans people while they vote for a rapist and a felon. Those are the people that I'm judging, because by the same measure you judge, lest you be judged. I am not a perfect person. I make 8 mistakes before I roll out of bed. God knows I am not perfect. But I know what's right and wrong. And I grew up with the bully. So I know the only way to fight a bully is you have to metaphorically punch him in the nose. Yeah, sorry, Chuck. I wish the Democrats would have backbone. So that's why I'm going to consider every Monday I'm going to start. Well, thank you, Menez Hernandez. I appreciate that. No, Feather, I am not saying that people don't have the right to wear crosses. What I'm saying is, for a lot of people that walk around pretending to be Christians, that cross is their only symbol of faith. They have no empathy. They have no compassion. There's no kindness. There's nothing. It's constant judgment and seeing the speck in everybody's eye. I don't even own a cross. I haven't pulled this out in years. It's up in my closet. I don't need to walk around and beat people over the head with the Bible and tell them that they're awful people. What good is that? I'm not a great person. That's what I meant. Yeah. And look at the Bible, because I got to go in a second here. I'm actually going to the Monday Night Football game tonight with my kid. I'm excited. It's my birthday present. Woohoo! I grew up with a dad that would, and this is the kind of my dad would like beat us like with a frying pan and leather belts and stab us at the table with forks and threw my mom through a wall. That's how I grew up. And then every Sunday, he would go and praise Jesus. He would put on his nice clothes and his ostrich-skin boots and smile and praise Jesus and watch me put money into the offering plate because I'm a good Christian. That's why I feel so passionately, because I'm sick of people walking around demonizing people. How would I tackle the climate change? That's a good question. I have to research that a little more. Sometimes I just don't know the answer, and I have no problem saying that I don't know. Yes, Democrats and Republicans are both responsible for systemic racism. And I'm critical of the Midas touch and all those bros. There was an interview with, hold on, let me see if I have it. Because I got to go in a second. I got to do some work and I got to get ready for my football game. Niners, baby. Anyway, it was the guy from, is it Pod Save America? I don't know their names. I'm sorry. But he's on stage debating Simone Sanders. And she's like, listen, you guys are still ignoring the problem. This country voted for the felon, the white man. This was racism. That's what they voted for. And the podcaster is a white guy. He's like, oh, no. It was the cost of eggs, and it was 0.03% inflation. No, it's not. And it's BS. She knows it, and I know it. No, today, my birthday was October 14th. But one of my presents was to get a 49ers game. So I bought tickets last night. I got them last minute. Hawaii has a white minority state. Hawaii is not doing well at all, actually. The people on Hawaii, bye, Madalena. It's good to see you, my friend. A lot of people from Hawaii can't afford to live on their own land. They have to wait 10 years for housing to be built. Many people in Hawaii are moving to Las Vegas because they can't afford to live there. Mark Zuckerberg is buying all of their ancestry land, and it's disgusting. And he's a pig. He's a greedy little whore. He's taken all of their land. They don't do it for the money. They don't care about that. It is their land from their ancestors and their ancestors and their ancestors. We went over there and took the land away from King Kamehameha. That was their land. And when we did the No Kings protest, fun fact, they didn't march No Kings protest. They said no dictator because they had kings and they liked their kings because the way that they were put in there was different than the places like in England. Tom Powell. I'm starting to I actually reached out to a couple of creators. Permaculture is one of them. I have not reached out to Tom yet. I have reached out to Graham Plattner, the guy running in Maine, the oyster guy. I really like him. I have not. Let me see if I heard back from him yet. A couple other influencers. So I'm reaching out. Let's see. I have not heard back yet. So I'm working on it. I've also reached out to April Joy. She is the author of Star Spangled Jesus. I did interview the Nitty Cult lady. That was a couple months ago, but I'm working on that. So I'm getting close. So you're correct, Derry. The people that benefit from white supremacy don't want to break it down because they don't want to lose their benefits. And that's why MAGA chose the plantation owner over the black woman. They are blaming brown people. Just think about this. I think it's Friday or Saturday that I have my video coming out. But these people who live in a trailer, who date their sisters who have 3 teeth, who inbreed, right? Who blame the libs for everything because everyone's coming for my guns. Freedom, freedom, freedom. All the normal stuff. They're blaming people that are picking our strawberries and our corn. I don't know if we have corn here, avocados, our almonds for their shitty life. And what's going to happen? Let's say that you deport every person that is undocumented. Then what? Who's going to get blamed next? They're going to blame somebody else. Then it's going to be, oh, it's the black people. Oh, it's the Native Americans. Oh, well, you're not Christian. You're not a white enough or a good enough Christian. You're next. Like, it's not going to stop there. Am I going back to Brian's show? No, I am done. I've been honest about that before, and I'll just say it again. His show has turned into rage bait. And I cannot do it. And there's some other stuff that happened behind the scenes that I don't feel it's appropriate to go into because I don't want to have hearsay, but it's just looking at his videos, it's all anger. It's just yelling at MAGA, calling him stupid and yelling and debate. I don't see the purpose of sitting down with the Riley Gaines or the girl from The Biggest Loser or a far-right guy. They don't even believe that January 6th was bad. They don't believe he's a felon. They don't believe he's a rapist. Why do I want to waste my time? Unless it's not about that, unless it's about the grift. And I do not want to be a part of that. We have too much of that in this society, and I want to be different from that. I agree. Well, thank you. All right, my friends, I have got to get ready because the game starts in 4 hours, and I got to do some work before I do that. Obama lands. Oh, man. I loved Obama. I really, really, really liked him. So, all right, my friends, I got to go. I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same bat channel. All right. Bye-bye. Have a great day, everybody. Oh, one last thing. I ordered my 100,000 YouTube button thingy-mabobber, whatever the hell it's called. So I'm going to open it and I'll do a live video once it's there. All right. Bye-bye.